So, CYCPLUS AS2 Ultra E-Pump, which has been kindly gifted to us. So let's see what's in the box as it comes. Instructions. We have a little bag. I guess that's a waterproof bag. Here we have the pump, the inflator, which has also got a nice silicone case. And in this bag of accessories, we have got a little ball needle. I think that's one of the connectors. USB cable and a couple of other items. I think that is to convert from Presta to Schrader, which you can do with this pump, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and that's a splash proof case, as I said, and then you've got a silicone case with the main unit, which I don't know if we need to charge it or not. Probably do. Oh no. So it looks like it's already charged, so you can change your PSI value, turn it off. There's the USB connector, USB-C, and obviously that's where you connect it to the bike. So that is what you get in the box. So in terms of some of the specifications of this AS2 Ultra from CYCPLUS, in terms of size, the main pump is 65mm by 47.5mm by 28mm, which is relatively small, and would fit in any pocket cycle bag that you might have, which is good. In terms of weight, it's 87 grams. As I said, it's a Type-C USB connector, and it has the ability to pump to a maximum of 120 PSI, which is pretty impressive. So the silicone case is there just to prevent any overheat issues when it's inflating. So I'm guessing it gets a little bit warm. And then equally, the splash-proof case is just to keep it dry if you're out and about when it's raining. So I've just taken the silicone case off. As I said earlier, this has got a dual valve adaptation, so you can use Presta or Schrader. So I think basically what you do is this little grommet, depending on the type of valve, you just turn it one way or the other when you're fitting it to this. So for the Presta valve, which is I've got, you put the small hole on the top. If it was a Schrader valve, you just do it the other way. So like I said, Presta, you just put the small hole on the inside, or Schrader, you put the recessed hole on the inside. So let's go back to Presta, and then that just pops in there, and that screws in there. As I said, it comes with a charging cable which fits in there. Connect that to any normal charging point, I think it takes circa 25 minutes from flat to be fully charged, which is pretty quick, and no big deal. Obviously we're all used to charging stuff throughout our daily lives, phones, etc., watches, so yeah, don't think that's any big hassle. I guess in terms of charging, a lot of people carry power banks when they're out riding, just in case their phone goes flat, lights, etc. So, you know, equally, if you did get stuck, you could charge from a power bank if you needed to. So the pump's got the ability to pump relatively quickly. So it's designed with a brushless motor to help reduce the weight, but maintaining rapid inflation speeds. So it can pump up to 120 psi in about 120 seconds, which is pretty impressive. And I think on average it probably can do 2 complete tire inflations, possibly 3 depending on the size of your tire, but you'd be pretty unlucky to get more than 2 punctures during a trip. So I think that's more than sufficient coverage out on a ride. 2 pumps, and you don't always have, you know, if it's a slow puncture, sometimes you only need to give it a quick blast to get home, but obviously if it's a full-on puncture or inner tube change, then yeah, you're going to get 2 full inflations out of this fully charged unit. So just having a quick read of the instructions, it does suggest that if you're using TPU inner tubes with the sort of resin valves, that to make sure you use the connector piece in the pack, which is this, which you may have seen in the shots earlier. So I think that's just to help with cooling. Otherwise, if you just do the pump directly onto the valve will get too hot and it'll probably melt it, quite frankly. So yeah, that's worth considering if you're a user of TPU tubes. And then there's also a little warning that regardless of what type of tube you use, TPU or not, you need to be careful with the little metal end of the valve, because it gets hot from the hot air, from the compressed air coming from the pump. So just bear that in mind. Don't want anybody burning their fingers. Just to give you a sense of size. Oh, there's my 2 girls. There's the pump compared to my iPhone. Should be said that CYCPLUS do a range of different pumps. There's the AS2, AS2 Pro, AS2 Pro Max, and this one, which is the AS2 Ultra. If you go on their website, they've got all the different specs for each of the different pumps, and you can order direct from CYCPLUS, but I believe you can buy these on via Amazon. I'm sure there's other platforms as well where you can purchase one. So, pump's fully charged. The 3 bars indicate it's fully charged. I'm in PSI, so I'm going to set it to 45 PSI, which is the pressure for the gravel tires I've got on the Creo 2. Blimey, that's a bit loud. That certainly feels really powerful as well. So yeah, interesting to see how it performs now on an inflation. So just another sort of comparison. That is, to be fair, like a mountain bike pump that I bought, Toe Peak. So it just gives you a sense of the difference in size. I know you can get smaller pumps than that, but I always find that they're not particularly good and easy to pump up. So I wanted something a bit more robust. But just look at the difference in size. Unbelievable, really. Again, just comparing. There's the CYCPLUS pump compared to, even if you did it that way, a couple of canisters, CO2 canisters and a valve, a small pump, mountain bike pump. You can see the benefits straight away from a size perspective. A typical Toe Peak saddle bag fits in there absolutely no problem. I appreciate it's empty and there's no other stuff in there, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of size. Even fits in that front pocket there. All good. Here we are. First little experiment. This is the wheel, front wheel off my Creo 2, which I've only had about a week. Let's take the dust cap off and deflate the tyre. As you can see, it's pretty fat now because you can see the Pathfinder emblem on the side of the tyre. Cool. So, to be honest with you, first time I used this, didn't get on particularly well, but I think you just gotta perfect how you hold it on the valve. So I found it easier if you just hold the tyre up with one hand, put the pump on the valve, and then also not to put the exact pressure in. You want something higher because otherwise it just cuts out at that pressure before it's inflated. But because you've got the digital screen, you can see as you approach your desired pressure. So what I've done this time, it's got it on 80. So get a good seal. Here we go, you can see now, look, wallop. I can see on the top 14, 15, 16 psi, 20, 22, 45 psi. Mine that is hot, but I'll put a time up on the screen as how long that took. So that is done, which, yeah, is pretty impressive and a lot easier than pumping by hand. Obviously not as quick as a CO2 canister, but smaller and more compact, and I haven't got to go and buy some new canisters when I've run out. So after a little bit of getting used to it actually fitting onto the valve, that time it worked perfectly. I have to say, probably made the fatal mistake of not reading the instructions like we all do, but yeah, I put it on 80 psi rather than just saying you want 45 psi, because the air resistance trying to pump it up gets you to that 45 psi and then it cuts out, so you've got to go higher, and then when you approach your desired pressure you just switch it off. But that was brilliant. I mean, that was probably for 45 psi, I don't know, I'll look it back on the video and I'll put it on here, but probably about 30 to 45 seconds, something like that. So I'm thinking for a gravel bike with lower pressure, you're probably going to get multiple inflations out of this, which I'll try and do a trial on that later on today. But obviously road tires, higher pressures, then not so many inflations, but that's fine, that's good. You're going to get at least 2, I think, out of it. And whilst it's warm, it's not hot, but it's just a bit like a hand warmer sort of temperature. So yeah, so far so good, very impressed. To be honest with you, this is the first review I've done of any equipment. Rusty and me have been gifted these, but you know, I am going to do an honest review. If it's crap, I'll say it's crap, because you know, I don't see the point in cheating the general public at all. And yeah, it's important that people on YouTube, when they're reviewing things, give you an honest opinion, because if you're going to go out there and spend your hard-earned money, then it's important you buy with a bit of faith. So Good stuff. So we're back again. CYCPLUS is fully charged. So what I'm going to do now is see, based on this wheel, this tyre, gravel tyre, about 47 psi to 50 psi, see how many pumps or inflations we can do on one charge. So here goes. One. Number two. You can tell when you get a good seal because the pump doesn't stutter, it just like that. That's a good seal. Two. Number three. So that's three. And we're down to 1 bar. So number four. Not sure we're going to get through this one with 1 bar, but let's see. Slowing down. 43. So that was 44 psi, and I was doing the others to 46. So to be fair, that is pretty much 4 full inflations on one charge, which isn't bad. It's got to be said, that ain't bad. So the other thing I was just going to try is I've got a power bank here, and just see if that charges it up, which it does. You can see it flashing, so that fits well. So just while that's charging, I was just comparing the cost of the pump versus the alternative. So I think this particular model on the CYCPLUS website is about £88. Not sure the price of the other ones I mentioned previously. So at face value, that's quite a lot of money, I'll be honest. But if you then consider a decent sort of mini hand pump, it's probably in the region of 25 to 30 quid. And from a size perspective, this is so much smaller than one of those pumps. So do you want to pay, you know, the extra sort of money to have something small and light? A lot of people will. I guess the other alternative are the CO2 canisters. Now they're an equivalent size to the pump, but you'll be paying roughly 25 quid for your first sort of 3 or 4 gas canisters and the valve. And then I guess on Amazon you can normally get 10 canisters for about a £5. But obviously they're only 1 inflation. And obviously one of these is giving you 4 inflations, as we've just demonstrated. So go on, I don't think it'd be too long before you've paid off this if you were buying gas canisters, which for me was what I was using mainly rather than a pump. So yeah, so on my bike currently I've got quite a small Castelli saddlebag, which this is going to be a bit tricky doing this holding the camera. And you'll see in there patches, but I've got 1, 2 canisters and the valve. In fact, 3 canisters and the valve. Yeah, that could be replaced even in this small bag quite nicely. Fits perfectly, even though there's some dodgy camera work. Job done. So, final thoughts on the CYCPLUS AS2 Ultra. Technically very good. Very good, very powerful pump. It did pretty much 4 inflations of a gravel tyre to 46 psi, so that's pretty impressive on one charge. Really quick to charge, very easy to use. Takes a little bit of sort of wiggling to get a good seal, but you can tell when you've got a good seal because the pump sort of revs just go right up and you can see it inflating quicker. Very easy controls, 3 buttons, on and off, up and down, plus and minus, basically for you set your PSI levels. And yeah, I found certainly with the lower pressures it kept cutting out if you set it to the actual pressure you want. So all I've done is just gone to a higher pressure, say 100 psi, and as the digital display counts up to 46, you just push the stop button. It's light, it's compact, it's small, fits in various size saddlebags as I've showed you. Yeah, really good piece of kit, very impressed. Comes in its little waterproof pouch, which it advises you to keep it in. I guess you don't want to get water inside the pump. I guess the final point really is the cost. If I'm honest, it's probably a little bit too expensive. I think something in the region of £50 would be acceptable, I think, for the average person. As I said, it's about £80 to £88. Go on. I think it's worth paying extra money for it to be small and compact, so I haven't got to carry a traditional pump around. But £80 to £88 just feels a little bit too expensive. So I'd probably say that's the only negative. But equally, you're paying for a good quality product. I can't see any issues with it. Obviously, I'm gonna use it over the coming weeks as we go out with Rusty Nell and me, and we'll see how we get on in the field. But yeah, based on what I've done in the garage and the experiments and the number of inflations, can't fault it. So yeah, well done CYCPLUS. Good product. I guess it's just about the price, really, and that'll be down to individual people and their circumstances as to whether or not they want to spend that much on a pump that will give you plenty of inflations in the years to come.